Step 9, Redux Toolkit and call asynchronous API calls using TypeScript. We call these Thunks, and that we initialize them. Let's change this here, the user list, and here we'll use a use effect to fetch an API and return about this endpoint, view the users. So we will not use these users anymore. We use a Redux too. So let's create them and how to initialize them with an API call. Let's create a new slice. Inside the features, already have counter slice. We will create users slice. I will export an interface here called user. So we have ID, number, name, string, mail, string. Interface, another interface, users state. It's the main state of my reducer. We will have the user, the main value, that will be user, an array of users of this interface. If it's loading or not, so I get Boolean. An error can be an optional parameter. We put this here and string. It will receive a string, a message to put on your component. Const initial state. How it will be initialized. Users state, it's equals to users loading false. Error we will get undefined. We will not put any here in users. Thunk to search users. So let's do this. So let's export a new variable here that call fetch users. Yes. createAsyncThunk. It will be important here from Redux Toolkit. Type it as user, an array of users. So the first parameter would be the name, like user, fetch user. This name, I think it works well. Async, an async function, because it will return a promise. I forgot to submit this. So we'll get a response here, and we can wait, fetch. I will copy the URI, this endpoint here. If response not okay, we will throw a new error. Throw new error. Failed to fetch users. Return. Wait. Response. JSON. This Thunk will fetch user and return a response in JSON of the users. So let's create the slice. So const users slice. Create slice. It will be important here from Redux Toolkit, okay? Just to guarantee that. So the name will be users. The initial stage will be my initial stage here. Yeah. Empty array, loading false, without errors. And we'll not have any reducers here because I think we do not do something here. Okay, but let's do the extraReducers. And these extraReducers will receive a function that has a parameter named builder. And inside of this builder, let's do some handles. So inside the builder, we can set some handles in there. So builder.add keys. So if fetch users dot pending, what will you do? We'll receive a state that we'll put state.loading, the loading aggregator here, true. So we will know that this is loading, and the state.error will be undefined because we don't have error here. We'll get an error after the loading. And another case of the build, how you do it this way will be more easier to read. Add case. So if fetch users, if fetch users dot fulfilled, we will receive a state and an action. So we need to do two things here. State dot loading will be false. And state dot users will receive action dot payload. This will the return of the API. Case when fetch users dot rejected, when the promise is rejected, we receive an state and an action. And state.loading is false. And state.error receive action.error.message. And if we don't have any message, we will return error. So we need to export the full users slice reducer. Okay. So inside the store, now we have our slice here. Inside the store, the source, we will add the users. User reducer. Well, let's import the user reducer here. Import user reducer. Users reducer from features user slice. We have here user reducer. So let's see how we can make the treatment here. To get these users here, we need to fetch users, but using the slice one here. To do this, first on the app.tsx, we will not use this, and we will not use this. Now you have the Redux for the counter. Now we have the Redux on the users. And okay, let's get the users loading an error. We created a 3-1. Use app selector state dot users. Okay, so we have here. So in the user list, you change some things inside, some things with I will not use this interface anymore because we don't have. So here you can use the props from the slice. I will export that because I can use this on the components. So I will use here. Okay. So we can get users, loading, and error. And if users, if loading, we can return a P. So if we get some error, we return if an error occurred loading users. So let's see how this works here. So yeah, we have loading here. This is loading because we don't called the users. We don't put the properties here. So loading and error. So you need to fetch them. And to fetch them, we need to call the slice. So we can create another use effect here to do this, to use the fetch one. Remember, we need to call the Thunks of the reducer. So, okay, let's write another use effect here. So this will run after the dispatch loads. So let's put this here. So we can dispatch and call fetch users. And this will be important here. Fetch users, user slice. Okay, let's see here. Did you see here? The loading appears and after all the users are listed here.